One of the best things about baseball is its history. And if you guys know me, you know I love the Baseball Hall of Fame. And on this show, hey, we're going to talk with Craig Buter from the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's the director of communications. So let's talk about Rhino. Let's talk about some of the all-time great Cubs. And let's get this thing going. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Go Cubs. All right, what do you say, everybody? And it is great to have Craig Buter on from the Baseball Hall of Fame and be able to talk to you from Cooperstown right now. What's it like in Cooperstown today?
It is. Well, it's been a little bit dreary the last couple of days, but the flowers are out. Spring is coming. You know, upstate New York, we have two seasons basically, winter and a little bit of summer. But we're fortunate now. We're heading into the best seasons of the year. And we're really excited about our summer program here at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I love talking about you guys on my daily broadcasts. And I have reverence for the Hall of Famers. And my bobblehead case is mostly Hall of Famers. You know, I mean, I had to weed it down. But, you know, my prize, Willie Mays bobblehead and Billy Williams, you know, and some of the great Cubs, Rhino. What's the experience like for, let's say, Cubs fans? We come to Cooperstown and check out the exhibits for Fergie and obviously the Hawk and all those guys. What would we see there?
Well, the first thing you're going to see is a lot of artifacts from the 2016 World Series. And,
wow.
and that, you know, when that happened, when the Cubs won the World Series that year, we had a ton of visitors in the next, 6 to 9 months. Wanting to experience that first time since 1908. Obviously, it was predated us by 31 years. The Hall of Fame opened in 1939. Wow. So that's something, you get that connection right there. And then you go into the plaque gallery. You see Ryan Sandberg's plaque. You see Billy Williams' plaque. You see Ron Santos' plaque. You see Fergie Jenkins' plaque. It's such a place of history, but it's also the connection of the game. Everybody who's a fan of the game also has that history with them because baseball, unlike any other sport, carries that through the decades and really more than a century now. So when you come to the Hall of Fame, you're going to get both today's game and the history.
Well, one thing I want to ask you about, and you start to mention all these great Hall of Famers, is our buddy Andre Dawson. You know, the name on the front of the hat, for him is the Expos, right? But he wants it to be the Cubs. I don't want to call this a controversy. I mean, it's not really a controversy, but it's something that was a deal in the past where guys could just pick. And then now, how does that process work? Like, who picks that? And do you think they'll ever change the policy?
Well, so it's important to note that it has always been the final decision of the Hall of Fame as to who goes on the plaque or what logo goes on the plaque. And really what it comes down to is this. If Babe Ruth had come to us and said, hey, I want to have a Boston Braves logo on my plaque, we would have said that really isn't representative of where the bulk of your career was spent. And so as a history museum, it's very important that we represent history as accurately as possible. There's always some gray area there. And so really, it's important to note, it is the Hall of Fame's final decision.
Yeah, and were you surprised when he's like, hey, I'd like to be a Cub? We're a Cubs channel, so of course we love the Cubs. I remember Andre coming from the Expos over to the Cubs, but he did play more years with the Expos, which as a Cubs fan, I mean, he was on the Expos. I was too young to really pay attention. I mean, I had his baseball card, right? But it to me, it's like, it's just interesting, that he feels like he's connected with our fan base.
Everybody has their favorite, when it comes to Hall of Famers, everybody has their personal memory. And it's also important to note that the plaque lists all the teams that the player played for, and we'll always list that. That's important to the Hall of Fame. Again, it's important to represent the history accurately.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, well, let's talk about our friend number 23 here, Ryne Sandberg, going through a battle with cancer. And I know I've seen you guys have put some posts out. Everyone's praying and thinking about Rhino. What is the Hall of Fame's connection with Rhino? Like, what kind of stuff would we see if we go there and an experience in the career of maybe the greatest second baseman ever?
He was very generous with us during his playing days, and he's been such a big Hall of Fame supporter throughout the years. I can remember a few years back, about a decade ago, he came up for what we called was the BASE program, which was it's an acronym for Be a Superior Example. And he came around and talked to school kids in a 20-mile radius of the museum, just telling them about what it means, not just to be a star on the field, which Rhino was, but to have that character that is going to carry you over for the rest of your life and throughout the rest of your days. I've never met anybody who isn't incredibly impressed and just humbled in the presence of Ryne Sandberg, who is one of the most humble people you're ever going to meet in your life. We're all praying for him, sending him our best wishes, and he truly is a special Hall of Famer.
Yeah, no doubt. I know when the Hall of Fame has their inductions, it's something that he really loves to be a part of. And I'm sure for you as well, that not just accepting the players that are coming in that year, but also the dais. You know, when you look back and you see all of the greats back there, is how long in advance do you get an idea of who's going to show up for this, you know, for the Hall of Fame induction ceremony? And what was the most impressive group that you were there for?
So the Hall of Famers will start sending out invitations in the spring, and the Hall of Famers will start replying immediately and basically saying, yeah, I want to be here. They all want to be here. And it's amazing. You know, more than 50 every year come back for the induction ceremony. It's the place on earth where the most Hall of Famers are at any one time, in Cooperstown, New York in the summer, usually the fourth weekend in July. And I think our high water mark is 57 that we set a couple years back. But it's always so amazing. You know, when Henry Aaron was still with us, every single year he'd get a standing ovation from the crowd spontaneously. And you know, you talk about guys like Sandy Koufax and Juan Marichal, all these folks who just being in the presence of them gives you goosebumps. And it does for the new Hall of Famers too. You saw the look on the face. And I'll go back to last year. Fred McGriff and Scott Rowland, when they're inducted, they look on that stage where they're standing and they're about to give their speech, and they can't believe they're there. They can't believe that the people behind them are behind them. And it keeps on happening throughout the years. It's a family, and it's a family that every year welcomes a couple of new members in, and it's just the greatest fraternity in all of sport.
I think it's the toughest fraternity in all of sports to get into. A lot of us lived and died with Ron Santo as he was trying to get in over the years. Even made a movie about it, you know. And then finally he got in with the Veterans Committee, and it was just such an exciting time to see that, right? And then, you know, Andre Dawson had to really fight hard to get in there. So it really is fantastic. I think part of it, and I know some of Cubs fans were frustrated, but what makes it so great is that the bar is so high, you know? And I mean, I think that's what, even though maybe it didn't turn out perfectly, I think the right guys got in, but the bar is really high to get into this group.
It takes 75% of the vote to get in. And when you think about that, that's the minimum, and that's 3 out of 4. So if I took 4 people outside right now and I asked them what color the sky was, I probably couldn't get 3 of them to say the same word. And that's the minimum level to get in. And think about this in another percentage way. About a little more than 1% of all the players to ever play Major League Baseball have been inducted. There have been a little more than 23,000 people who have played Major League Baseball. A little more than 1% have been inducted. That means you can be in the 2% club. You can be better than 98% of all the players who've ever played the game, and you're still not in the Hall of Fame, because that's the level that we're talking about here. And that's why every January, we are talking, you're seeing all the people on ESPN and everywhere else talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame. It doesn't happen with other halls of fame because
Mm-mm.
there's no controversy. But here, it means something when you're elected.
Yeah, no doubt. One thing that you guys have coming up that I thought was really interesting and also relates to the Cubs a lot is celebrating Black baseball, doing that over Memorial Day weekend. And I start with, obviously Ernie Banks and Billy Williams, but Buck O'Neill. Buck was a scout for the Cubs. He was a coach for the Cubs. He represents everything that I love about baseball history and the game of baseball. And he was someone that was involved with the Hall of Fame before he passed.
Absolutely. So in 2008, we instituted the Buck O'Neill Lifetime Achievement Award, which recognizes people whose contributions to the game were like Buck, which was just astronomical. And then in 2022, he was elected to the Hall of Fame and now has a plaque in the Plaque Gallery. You can't say enough about what Buck O'Neill did for the game throughout 70 plus years where he was active. We are opening an exhibit called The Souls of the Game on Memorial Day weekend, which is about the voices of Black baseball. So it's about the history of Black baseball, but it's being told through the people who experienced it, through their own words. What was it like to be a player? What was it like to be an owner? What was it like to be a scout? And these people are describing for it. It's going to be a transformational exhibit just talking about that Black baseball experience. And on the same day, we're having our Hall of Fame East-West Classic, which is a tribute to the Negro Leagues All-Star Game that was called the East-West Classic. And the amount of well, we're going to have 12 Hall of Famers here, but the amount of other players, recently retired players who are going to play in that Legends game are incredible. CC Sabathia and Chris Young are the captains. We've got Adam Jones. We've got Curtis Granderson. We've got Prince Fielder. The list, Ryan Howard, the list goes on and on. It is going to be a who's who of recent stars in the game. That's going to be a fun day in Cooperstown.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. I mean, I'd love to be there for that. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be a lot of fun too, is this year's Hall of Fame weekend. And there's your group. If you guys maybe want to be part of that, Craig can get you all the information. And what does it take to go out there? I know there's no Cubs on there this time, but it's a pretty good group of Hall of Famers.
And the beauty of it, Mick, is it's free. You can attend the induction ceremony every year. It's a free event. Lawn seating at the Clark Sports Center, which is a Cooperstown recreational center. So we set up the tent in a field. It's a natural amphitheater right adjacent to the Clark Sports Center. And we get, I'm sure we'll have 30,000 plus fans in that field this summer for Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, Jim Leland, and Joe Mauer. And it really is, it's watching your baseball cards come to life. You're seeing these heroes on the stage there in Cooperstown. Really, it's something that every baseball fan, you should come and see it, because there's nothing else like it in the baseball world. And all the eyes of the baseball world are on Cooperstown on that Sunday. It truly is remarkable.
Yeah, no doubt. Are they ever going to have any of these old timers games anymore? I remember being at the park a couple of times as a kid at Memorial Stadium. I think once I was at Yankee Stadium, and they had an old timers game, and it was great, but I don't see those as much anymore.
The Yankees still have an old timers game, and obviously our game on May 25th is a Legends game. So you're talking about recently retired players. And that really is something special in Cooperstown. These guys want to come to Cooperstown to experience that feeling of history. Yeah. And plus, you're getting together with your baseball buddies at the home of baseball. What is better than that on Memorial Day weekend? If you're able to come up and there's just a few tickets available, it's almost sold out now. But if you're able to come up on May 25th, truly is special. But think about the induction ceremony too. And like you said, maybe there are no Cubs there this year, but you're going to see the Cubs on the stage. The heroes are going to come back, and you're going to feel that connection to all those other baseball fans in and around Cooperstown. Because really, when you're walking around the village that weekend, you have that family feeling. It's like, this is where baseball's pulse beats the strongest.
All right. That sounds awesome. All right. Before we get off here, give me an example of three of your best Cubs pieces? You know, maybe the last out ball from the World Series, or Rogers Hornsby's bat, or something. Like, what are some really cool Cubs things that if we come to Cooperstown, we'd be able to see right now?
One of my favorites is the bat used by Billy Williams in 1972 when he went 8 for 8 in a doubleheader.
Oh, wow.
And the reason I love that bat is because if you take a close look at it, you'll see that Billy Williams drove very small nails into the handle of the bat because it was cracking, and he didn't want to lose it because it's getting so many hits for him. So he drives these tiny nails into it to hold it together, and then puts the pine tar over it on the handle so you can't see it. Now, this is illegal. You're not supposed to do this. But Billy didn't want to lose that bat. I love that kind of history and those kind of mysteries that you find when you come to the Hall of Fame and see these artifacts that are just unbelievable. So, like I said, we've got artifacts from the 2016 World Series, and those are great. But I love the history. I love those pieces that date back to when I was a kid.
All right. Well, yeah, check them out. Baseball Hall of Fame. Get any information. Where do people go to find you, Craig, and the Hall of Fame? I know in Cooperstown, but
you can find us online at baseballhall.org. Follow us on social media at Baseball Hall on Twitter, X, and Facebook and Instagram. We've got a really active presence there. And it's baseball season all year round in Cooperstown. I guarantee that.
Yeah, hey, guys, it's special to be part of this game and to see what they do. And so our support goes a long way at the Baseball Hall of Fame. I would never want to not have it there, you know, so make sure you guys check it out. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us, Craig, and let's do it again soon.
Absolutely. Come visit us soon. All right.
I will. All right, guys, like and subscribe, comments in the comments section, and we'll do something like this again real soon. Go Cubs.